We brought on Ed Sraja 2 years ago, famed Behringer winemaker, and so the R13 Premiere lot is 100% he made from harvest to what we put together. We're really excited about it. Where you see like purple in the wine, it has this purple hue that's different from any other variety. His genius is, I mean, he's a genius all the way around, but his blending, I mean, I've blended with some of the best in the valley, and bar none, he is the best blender I've ever seen.
Exploring the vineyards with my dad, riding around we had a four-wheeler, and he'd take me to go check on the water tanks and open and close valves during irrigation. I'd be running around the vineyard during harvest, and I love that. I would love to have that for my child. We are getting ready to release our 2012 Nebbiolo, which is interesting. My father ripped out just a couple rows of Cabernet a few years back and grafted the vines over to Nebbiolo. He's got a passion for Italian wines. So that's aged 3 years in the barrel, and we'll just be releasing the 2012 here pretty shortly.
No winemaker on earth makes more varietals as beautifully as Todd Graff makes it. And I defy anybody to be able to dispute that statement with any kind of credibility. He's that good.
Being that Todd is standing next to you, I don't think he's really going to dispute it.
No, it's humble to hear that, and it's great, and it's actually one of the things I'm most proud of is that we can pour sparkling wines head to head, and we can go to all the varietals, Chardonnay, Cabernet, Zin, Petit Syrah this morning, and I think we can compete head to head. And that's what we're trying to do and have fun doing it.
Well, Premiere Napa Valley is really important to all of us, and it's really kind of the bake sale for the vintners. It's the thing that really makes it happen so that we can do so many educational programs and we can do so many things that speaks to the quality of the wines that happen in Napa Valley overall. And in our case, we got to have all of our neighbors up here. So we have Brand, Continuum, Ovid, Gandona. We have the Krupps up here. We have, all of our friends are all here, which is really, really cool. Montagna. I probably forgot somebody because there's so many of us, but for the first 25 years that we had Pritchard Hill up here and that we've been on this mountain, there weren't any neighbors, but now there are. So everybody's making remarkable wines, and there seems to be an awful lot of guests coming in wanting to try them.
So we're doing auction lot number 68. It is a Rutherford cab, 85% from our estate vineyard, and then we blended in 5% each, a Malbec, Merlot, and a little bit of Cab Franc.
So when you're doing a Premiere lot, I mean, is that something you find more of a challenge because you really have to make this something? I mean, you make special wine already. Yeah. Now you got to somehow top that.
I just look at it as it's fun. It's a creative challenge, and it's, as a winemaker, that's what you kind of live for, right? To sit down and just create something new, one of a kind. So it's fun. It's always a fun event.
I took that stupid test of that on Facebook the other day, and they said, how old are you? And mine came out to be 28. And what's cool about that is my wife said to me, your mental attitude was arrested at about age 17. So I'm still that guy that I love mini bikes, go-karts, motorcycles, and just in this business, if you love people, the rest just falls in place. And I love people. I love being around people. I love talking with people. I always say to people, I know what I do for a living. I don't know what you do. And whenever I do that, people open up to me and we find some commonality in something we both like to do. And I think rather than just constantly telling people about what you do and, okay, this is the wine business over and over again, the world's grand, and so I'm all about that. But I'm loving this right now. What a turnout.
I started working in the wine cellar at the age of 16. I'm from Napa here. So friends of my family had a little winery, Tuluke winery to be exact. And when I was able to get my first job, they threw me in a wine tank and had me clean and drag hoses. I was the classic cellar rat.
Right.
And I loved it, all my buddies were working at McDonald's, and I said, I think I got a better gig over here. And I've loved it ever since. And just kind of been up and down the valley at various places in between and off to college and things like that. But right back home, and we're landed here at a great spot. So
I've been making meander since 2003 from two wonderful vineyards in the Napa Valley, Llewellyn Vineyard in St. Helena and Gary Morrisoli's Vineyard in Rutherford. 11 was a challenging vintage for a number of reasons, but I think its qualities are just beautiful. There's an extra spicy quality that I really love to it. There's a finesse and elegance of these wines, which actually reminds me of 2007. And those wines are drinking like butter right now.
Tres sabores. I've lost more Spanish than I ever learned, but it's really in celebration of what, the people who built the valley, and also the song Sabor a Mi, which is my taste. And for me, just a real connection with passion. That's part of making wine and growing it too.
We don't need every year to be an ultra-ripe vintage, but I've got to say it was a challenging vintage, and in the vineyard we spent a lot of time being very careful about what we brought to the wine. We dropped some fruit, we opened up the foliage, and really letting the fruit hang a little bit longer, but dropping the fruit that wasn't perfect. We ended up getting beautiful wine, so it just required a lot of diligence in the vineyard. So I think there are some great wines out there, and then there are some that are of the vintage, but I think it's going to age beautifully. And I'm pouring my 11 Oakville today. I think it's the best wine I've got here. I think it's a wonderful vintage as long as you were very diligent in the vineyard.